Tonight, the hundreds of Met police officers accused of violence against women in just 6 months. From misconduct to sexual assault, the allegations are vast, but the scale is only now being exposed due to recent high-profile cases.
I think it was even a bigger trauma that the people that are supposed to keep you safe actually hurt you even more.
Also ahead, the council keeping a young family living with damp mould with mushrooms growing in the carpet. Battle of Britain, London's Jack Draper takes on Andy Murray at Indian Wells and wins in straight sets. And
hi, I'm Yolanda Brown and I'll be chatting to Charlene in just a sec. I'm looking forward to it.
good evening. The Metropolitan Police say they want to make London a safe city for women, but new figures show the scale of allegations against them. Over a 6-month period, hundreds of officers and staff in the Met were accused of violence against women and girls. They range from general misconduct to sexual assault. The accusations were exposed in a recent report by the National Police Chiefs Council, which follows high-profile cases of former officers Wayne Couzens and David Carrick. Both are now convicted sex offenders. Divya Kohli has the details.
Women and girls should expect to feel safe in the capital, to trust a police officer should the situation arise. But today there's proof some are carrying out abusive behaviour in the line of duty. A new report shows sexual harassment, the use of force and harassing behaviour led to hundreds of complaints from women about the Met Police.
It's exhausting, it's disgraceful. I feel completely let down.
Juliana was raped by her former boyfriend. He's now serving an 18-year sentence, but she says at her lowest point during the trial against him, a particular Met Police officer on her case acted inappropriately. She has made an official complaint, but is still awaiting a conclusion.
I'm very upset with how I was treated. I feel like I was exponentially traumatized for no reason, and I think it was even a bigger trauma that the people that are supposed to keep you safe actually hurt you even more.
There were almost 1,500 allegations of violence against women and girls by police officers and staff across the country in a 6-month period. 287 of those were made against the Metropolitan Police. Some of those complaints included sexual harassment and assault. That's almost 20%, or a fifth, of all complaints about police conduct towards women and girls being made about officers and staff here in the capital. In response, the Met Police says it wants London to be a safe city for women and girls. We know we have much more to do and are working hard to improve so that women and girls feel safe and have confidence in our service to them. This must start with us. The Met has been embroiled in scandal over David Carrick, who was jailed for assaulting 12 women whilst he was a serving officer with the force, and Met policeman Wayne Couzens, who was serving a whole life sentence for the abduction, rape and murder of Sarah Everard. It's the first time these figures have been published in light of these cases.
It's obviously, on the one hand, extremely disheartening to see how poorly police misconduct and a criminal investigation has been handled. On the other hand, the commitment to now being transparent about publishing data does keep the pressure up on the police to really try and implement change.
The Met says specialist units are being set up to handle cases of wrongdoing within its ranks, but it seems much more needs to be done to regain the trust of many women in the city. Divya Kohli, ITV News.
Well, as Divya mentioned in her report, the National Police Chiefs Council looked at the conduct of officers up and down the country, and there'll be more on the findings on the ITV Evening News at 6:30 with Mary. A man's appeared in court accused of stabbing a woman to death nearly 30 years ago. Marina Koppel was murdered in her own home in Westminster in 1994. After a review of the investigation, police have charged 50-year-old Sandeep Patel, who appeared at the Old Bailey via video link and will stand trial in May. Officers have released this photo of a man they're looking for in connection with an alleged rape in West Norwood. The incident is reported to have happened at a home in Woodvale Walk in July 2021. The man is thought to be in his late 30s and around 5'7". And Michael Gove has named 11 companies who haven't yet signed the contract committing them to repair unsafe buildings. The list includes London developers Abbey Developments, Galliard Homes, Inland Homes and London Square. In the Commons this afternoon, the Housing Secretary outlined the consequences.
Those companies will be out of the house building business in England entirely, unless and until they change their course. They will not be able to commence new developments in England or receive building control approval for work that is already underway.
Next tonight, it's set to be the most disruptive strike yet. Drivers and guards from both the RMT and ASLEF unions will walk out tomorrow, bringing the tube network to a standstill. It's over that ongoing row about job cuts, pensions and conditions. The unions say the cuts are a political decision. The government say the ball is in City Hall's court. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
For many tourists, the underground stations at Heathrow are their first taste of real London. The sometimes shabby trains rattling up and down the Piccadilly line are a quick way into the capital. But not tomorrow. With the tube almost certainly at a standstill, the Elizabeth line will have to take the strain. We know the Elizabeth line gets very busy in the morning with air travellers and commuters coming in from Heathrow and West London. How much busier is it likely to be tomorrow?
Well, with little or no tube service expected tomorrow, other parts of the TfL network will be operating, but they will be busier than normal, naturally.
Which is why commuters who can't work from home have been warned there could be queues.
I'm going to have to stay overnight and then get a taxi home.
I'll just be able to work from home, so it doesn't really affect me that much.
I think it's terrible because I have to take bus, and that means I have to go. I need to about 3 hours.
At this riverboat bar on the Thames, there are no bookings for tomorrow. Wednesdays are usually busy. The owner says constant strikes influence her hiring policy.
Having to now think about when we recruit people, where they live, and it's become a question during interviews as to how travel will be affected due to the rail strikes.
Tomorrow's walkout involves members of the drivers' union ASLEF and the RMT, which represents station staff. Unlike the rail strikes, this dispute is not about pay. It's about 600 jobs which are disappearing, changes to working practices for the drivers, and possible reforms to TfL's pension scheme. In 2021, the government ordered TfL to carry out a pension scheme review following a series of bailouts during COVID. The aim was to find savings of £100 million a year. TfL says it has considered options, but insists there are no final proposals. TfL says there are no proposals to change the pension scheme at the moment. Why don't you call off the strike?
To be frank, that's rather disingenuous. The agreement with the government states that by this Friday they have to agree proposals and an implementation plan.
I did warn the government that these conditions could lead to industrial action, and I'm sorry to be proved right. What the government should be doing is removing these conditions, reassuring the transport workers, the trade unions, that their pension rights won't be affected.
The government said it had given TfL £6 billion since the start of COVID, and it was up to the mayor how to spend the money. Tonight, any chance of a last-minute deal to halt the strike seemed to have passed.
Well, Simon, it's fairly busy behind you. It is after 6 o'clock already, but it'll be a very, very different picture tomorrow, won't it?
Yes, Charlene, this dispute has been going on for months, but it's the first time that ASLEF members have gone on strike, and without drivers there can be no trains, so the entire tube network is likely to shut tomorrow. There won't be any trains on the Elizabeth line between Abbeywood and Paddington before 7:30 in the morning. There are likely to be very long queues at some bus stops, and to make matters worse, there will still be disruption on the underground during Thursday morning's rush hour, which just happens to be the start of the next strike by RMT members working for some mainline train companies.
Thanks very much, Simon. 3 months ago, we filmed with Claire Griffin. Her home in Streatham was covered in so much mould that she was terrified it was making her and her children unwell. A damp expert told us living there was unsafe, but despite a promise from the council to move her, Claire is still in her flat and the conditions have gotten worse. Fungus growing out of the walls has now been added to that list, as Sam Holder reports.
There's no escape from the mould for Claire and her children.
Okay, as you can see, all the way in here, even from the front door.
I mean, it's on the door frame?
Yeah, it's all over the door frame. There's like moisture even inside the spy hole.
It's in the bathroom, also the kitchen.
There's all the ceiling.
Yeah.
Around the windows.
It's everywhere.
This used to be her 16-year-old daughter's bedroom. Now they don't go in.
This was mould washed in December as well. And now we've got mushrooms.
Sorry, this was mould washed in December?
In December, yes. The whole property was mould washed in December.
And 3 months later, it's back like this?
Yeah, it was like this probably within a month. And then down here, we have like fungus and mushrooms.
There's actual mushrooms growing off the wall.
The property was treated in December after we sent in an inspector. Following our report, Lambeth Council, the landlord, sent in their own surveyor, who, according to Claire, said the family should be moved out for safety. But this hasn't happened. Claire believes their health is being put at risk. Her and her children have now been diagnosed with asthma.
Well, we're all on very strong inhalers. My voice comes and goes a lot, and asthma attacks. A complete nightmare, to be honest, a complete nightmare. I just feel like every day is a battle to get up in the morning because I don't know what's going to go wrong next, or my children are suffering. I feel like I'm being a neglectful parent.
We got in touch with Lambeth Council again, and in a statement they told us, "We are determined to carry out the required repairs to bring Ms Griffin's home up to standard and hope that we can reach agreement to start this work as soon as possible. We are therefore offering to accommodate Ms Griffin and her family in a hotel for the duration of the works." Claire says she hasn't heard yet from the council, but being moved out, even temporarily, is better than staying in.
So currently this room is just completely out. You don't go in here at all?
We don't use it now, no.
I don't want to keep you in here too long.
No, yeah, let's go.
Sam Holder, ITV News.
A 24-year-old has been given a 3-year football ban for racially abusing Ivan Toney. Antonio Neil sent a racist message to the Brentford striker on social media last year. Well, Antoine Allen has been across this and has joined us now in the studio. This is a landmark ruling, isn't it?
It really is. It's the first of its kind. Now, if we go back in time, sadly, it's not the first time that Ivan Toney has been the victim of racist abuse. But last year, on the 14th of October, he scored 2 goals for his side, Brentford, but then came home to check his phone and received a racist message. He then took a screenshot of that particular DM, put it on social media, and the police were able to track down the person that sent it, which was Antonio Neil, who then pleaded guilty to what was then called a hate crime. Now, today, as you can see on our screen, Antonio received an unprecedented ban. It means that for 3 years, he won't be able to go to a Premier League, Championship, League One or League Two game, including non-league football. He won't be able to travel with England at all and go to any international games. So for many people, it's a statement, but when I spoke to Kick It Out, they welcomed the ban, but they said we should look a little bit further.
We have to tackle the root cause of this. And the root cause is that we've built a society in the last few years where we've gone back 30 years. It's okay now to say things in public that it wasn't okay to say 30 years ago. We need to understand why that is, how we've let it get to this point, and have an adult dialogue about what we need to do to fix it. Because ultimately, it's not just tech. Somebody is pushing those keys and they're having the thoughts that drive that behaviour.
As Tony said, someone is pushing those keys, and they want us to look at those words and statements that perpetuated across social media and also in the media itself to see how they're promoting and establishing a person like Antonio Neil to think that he can contact a player and get away with it. But this time he hasn't.
Antoine, thanks very much. Still to come, a performance for the King and an OBE at Buckingham Palace. Yolanda Brown will be here to chat about her incredible 24 hours and...
Good evening, everybody. I'm here with Joe. Joe, say hello. Joe? Awkward silence. Anyway, find out why he's here at the Tower of London, no less, in a bit.
Looking forward to that. But first, Jack Draper's win at Indian Wells in California last night meant more than most. It was a battle of the Britons as he faced up against his hero, three-time Grand Slam winner Andy Murray. And he beat Andy in straight sets, securing himself a place in the final 16. Speaking after the match, the 21-year-old said he just felt privileged to have played with him. Here's Rags Martel with the action.
What a sensational win for Jack Draper as he downs his idol.
No handshakes at the end of this match. Instead, the smiling young apprentice hugged the old master.
One of the all-time greats.
Jack Draper beating his childhood British tennis hero.
I've looked up to Andy since I was so young. I watched him win Wimbledon for the first time in 2013, and then I've had the opportunity to get to know him and practice with him often since 2019. And he's a really special person, a great champion, great human being, and yeah, privileged to play against him on this court.
First on, he's here from Great Britain. Please welcome Jack Draper.
This match billed as the Battle of the Brits in California.
Andy Murray.
The first ATP meeting between the former world #1 and the breakthrough player from Sutton. And it was the 21-year-old's touch that initially made the difference early on.
Oh, these two Brits putting on a show.
And the left-hander also used his raw serving power to take the first set tiebreak.
Incredible. He's out-Murrayed Murray.
The second set was simpler. A double fault from Murray, wrapping up the match for Draper in straight sets.
Has the baton been handed over to the new star of British tennis, Jack Draper?
And if South London has a new tennis star, South East London's leading light is glowing again. Emma Raducanu back on form and winning 3 matches in a row.
It's a hat-trick of wins in the Californian desert.
And even surprising herself.
For me, it's pretty amazing for me. Like, I haven't really prepared for this tournament. I haven't really practiced. So to come out here and play at this level and be competitive is a great sign for me.
Both Emma and Jack play in the early hours of tomorrow morning for a place in the Indian Wells quarter-finals. The new generation now leading the way from the old. Rags Martel, ITV News.
Now, for our guest tonight, it's been a busy day for her over the last couple of days, but also for other Londoners at Buckingham Palace who lined up to collect honours from King Charles. Britain's ambassador to Ukraine, Melinda Simmons, received a damehood for her services to British foreign policy. Dame Melinda, who is from Finchley, said she hoped the honour was an opportunity to keep the invasion of Ukraine in people's minds. And Queen guitarist Sir Brian May was officially awarded his knighthood for services to music and charity. And as I mentioned earlier, less than 24 hours after a performance for the King at Westminster Abbey, saxophonist Yolanda Brown was in front of His Majesty again to collect her OBE. And she is here with us right now. And I'm very excited because I've not seen you for so long.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you.
It's been a busy couple of days.
It has been.
So let's start with the OBE. What was that like earlier?
It was absolutely amazing. In fact, it feels like an absolute dream. So I loved watching that footage because it all goes so quickly, you know. But yeah, really proud moment. Had my mum, my dad, my husband and my daughter there. So we're all sort of really proud and celebrating and taking it all in.
It's amazing. And how important was it for you to bring your daughter along with you to see that?
Very important. My oldest daughter is 9. My other daughter's 3. We will make it up to her. But she understands it all and, you know, researching it all at school, and she's very proud. But it's really nice to see that inspiration coming through as well.
And also to see, I guess, you know, all the work you do, see that recognised in what is such an opulent venue, really. So it's lovely.
And we don't do it for the recognition, but it is nice. You get a little flutter in the heart. So all the hard work is worth it, you know?
It is about recognition, because you didn't just get this for music. You got this for music and education, and also about your work as a broadcaster, obviously.
Yes.
Because you do a lot in your work about making sure that kids understand music, see the importance of music. And why is that important to you?
You can see it. I think when something is so tangible and yet is so sort of under-provided, then you just have to step into the gap, really. Every single time I perform or I speak about music or engage with a young person about music, their world just lights up. I mean, it happened yesterday at Westminster Abbey. I was performing. I knew I had to be in a certain space, but I could see all these children. I was like, no, I'm going to dance up the nave. I've got to go and see them and let them see the instrument and feel something. And that's what music does.
It really does. And that's why my kids love you and your band.
My God,
when you're doing your shows. They love it because it's a way to connect kids to instruments and music they may not otherwise hear.
Yes.
And it's sparking that inspiration. And what was your inspiration for getting involved in music?
I think it's also getting away from getting away from the prejudice, I should say. So if a piece of music makes you want to move, then move. It's not what anybody else is into. And I think nowadays that music is so much easier to discover with social media, streaming, YouTube, whatever. People can just listen to what they like. And I think children teach us that very quickly. If they like something that makes them move, it doesn't matter if it's classical, Latin, salsa, whatever, they will just enjoy it.
So who introduced that to you?
My dad. My dad's record collection is still the holy grail for us. He's got everything under the sun. We're from Jamaica, and so reggae, scarmento, but then from opera to everything
it's beautiful, and you can see that in your music. And I know that Sally has joined us now in the studio. You can do the weather in just a second. And that was one of the things that excited you about meeting Yolanda, wasn't it? It was just all the different genres and how exciting she makes it.
Oh my goodness, exactly. And the fact that she nearly didn't do music, which just blows my mind considering how successful she's been. My favourite story that Yolanda told me when we did My Little Bit of London was the fact that she has a shoe fetish, unlike me. She has a shoe fetish. And she's so sweet. When she does a gig, she gives out a pair of her shoes to the audience.
I have been known to give away a couple of pairs of shoes, but it's lovely. I do love shoes. I had a nice couple.
But I suggested that you lob them out. You're like, no, Sally, stilettos are not flying through the audience.
We'll work out if Yolanda's brought me shoes in just a second. But you've been out and about, haven't you, today?
I have. I've been with beautiful horses. Do you remember the Tower of London? The amazing wildflower meadow? Well, hopefully it's coming back this summer, all being well, conditions being right. And I went to see them getting it ready with the beautiful Shire horses. Let's take a little look.
For majestical horses like the Shires, the majesty of a royal palace couldn't be better. Although, to be fair, it has looked better. That's more like it. The Tower of London last summer, when 20 million seeds created a blooming, marvellous wildflower meadow.
You're having a crazy hair day too, aren't you? Yeah.
Today, Joe and Will are here to help recreate the magic this summer, raking over the seeds.
These guys are bred for work and that's what they enjoy doing. They don't enjoy standing around in the field.
Waiting for me to interview them, ask you silly questions, hey? Oh.
But the seed itself is sown by hand.
Is this your beautiful scarecrow?
It is. It's my pigeon deterrent.
What a piece of art. I mean, you are an artiste.
Can you see a pigeon?
No, it's a very good point.
It's working. It's working.
Graham, the head gardener, showed me how to spread the wildflower seed.
And again, reach back. Whoosh.
And then the pleasure was all mine.
Yeah, you've got a nice arm.
And you get a bit of rhythm going. Keep walking backwards after every throw.
Did you play cricket?
No, I don't.
Neither do I.
There were a couple of issues. Firstly, I do make a strange face when I throw. And secondly, I threw it at the cameraman.
Sorry, Bill.
But at least he'll look nice. They only need to plant 1/10 of last year's seeds, and hopefully all the pollinators they attracted for the first time will return.
That was the biggest change for us, really, is having all of the pollinators come. We had lots of bumblebees, lots of hoverflies, even saw a hummingbird hawk moth. Wow. Now that the pollinators know that the food is here, we'll see even more of those next year.
This is home now for them.
Yeah, this is home.
Central London, without a mortgage. Brilliant.
Sign me up.
With the seed in the ground, the horses rake it in.
Why are they good for the soil, Tom?
They do a better job than machinery because they're low impact.
Yeah.
Where machinery would compact the soil.
They've got a better touch.
They have a better touch, yeah. There's no oil leaks, no pollution. It's a win-win all round, really.
Yeah. And they're going to go home now for what?
They get a hot shower when they go home, and they'll get a nice warm mash for dinner, and they'll be turned out for the night then with their mates in the field.
Oh,
and
brilliant!
They'll have it good, yeah.
Hot shower, hot dinner, and a party.
Exactly.
Sounds like a winning night.
And for us, all that's left to do is wait. Hopefully, this will be our prize.
It was sunny but chilly today.
Yes.
Is it going to get warmer?
Well, this is the general idea. I mean, things do a bit up and down in springtime, but it was actually in the sunshine today, warm. I could feel it coming through my coat. And we were nearly laughing with the Met Office this morning when they said, well, there's actually a bit of UV, level 3. Oh, wow. I know. Sunscreen. Can you believe it? At least we're talking about it. Here we go. Here's the forecast.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Well, how lovely was it today to see this, our old friend, the sunshine and the blue sky as well, very welcome. But we give with one hand and take away with the other because we have got some more showers tonight, I'm afraid. Then things clear up and we've got a cold and frosty start to tomorrow morning. Watch out possibly for a bit of ice where it's been damp. And then tomorrow a mostly dry day, but things are turning wetter and windier later on in the afternoon and evening. We have got quite a fluctuation in temperatures as well. It's been cold today and quite chilly tomorrow. Then we've got some milder air coming in as we go through the back end of the week. But into Sunday, those temperatures look like they might drop down again, and then the mild air returns. Quite a volatile temperature setup, but that is not uncommon at this time of year as we go from winter into spring. So let's take a look at the details for tonight. As I said, a few showers passing through, maybe on higher ground a touch of sleet and hail, but then things clear up out of the way. Lots of clear skies as we go into the rest of the night and tomorrow morning, and that sets the scene for a frost to form. As I said, on wet ground you might get a bit of ice around, possibly a touch of mist and fog too. So a chilly night in the countryside, probably colder than that. So it will feel chilly as we wake up tomorrow morning. Might need to leave a bit of extra time if you've got frost on your car, you're using your car. A nice bright start though, some decent sunshine for you. Then things start to turn a little bit hazier through the day and that cloud thickens as it continues to roll in. It's also going to stay quite cool tomorrow, highs of only 6 to 9 degrees. As for the evening, if you are heading out, I'm afraid things are turning a bit wetter and windier, and that feature moves through Wednesday night, clearing into Thursday, but Thursday's still a bit unsettled. Similarly, the rest of the week, but look at those temperatures just creeping up. That's it. See you later. Cheerio.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Finally, take a look at this unique portrait created to celebrate Sir Michael Caine's 90th birthday. Thousands of coins were used to create this mosaic of the London legend in a nod to one of his most famous film roles, playing secret agent Harry Palmer, of course. The artist Ed Chapman has raised £75,000 for cancer research by selling portraits of John Lennon and Tiger Woods in the past, but says he hasn't decided what to do with this artwork of his favourite actor even. It's a beautiful picture, isn't it? That's what we've got time for. Mary's here with the ITV Evening News next, of course. But for me and the rest of the London team, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.